interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to National Discuss. This beautiful day, today we have some special topic for us to discuss as Nigerians. And of course, we know that constant power supply remains the hallmark of a developed nation, a developed economy, a developed country. Now, if you turn it the other way around, it means any country, any economy whose power supply remains epileptic has the risk of not being developed and of course losing its investors. Now today we are looking at the power challenge and the solution, and of course we have the right person in the house to discuss that, but that will be shortly after the break. My name remains Uche Uduma, your host. We'll go for a break now.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa Nakama. They are like Agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
All right, welcome back from that short break. Straight on, Emma. Thank you for coming on the show. Sorry, I actually wanted him to introduce himself. So to you, sir, you can introduce yourself, to the audience who are actually waiting to meet you in the studio.
Thank you, viewers. My name is Emmanuel Obayagbona, but I'm popularly known as Scientist Emma. I am a graduate of Institute of Management and Technology, IMT. I studied electrical engineering power. So I am here to talk about solution to Nigerian power challenge, as well as solution to African power challenge as well. Thank you.
All right, straight on to viewers. We all know that this is a topic everybody wants to listen to, and of course make contributions too, because it is a challenge that it runs across everybody regardless your status in the society. Now we know that for over 40 years now, Nigeria has been battling with the introduction of electricity. We've been battling with how epileptic our power supply is, and this power supply, can you just give us a kind of a link to it? Not really, just a short history, if possible, how Nigeria got started using with electricity first.
Thank you. I would like to say Nigerians have been using the popular power generating plant known as hydroelectricity.
Okay.
And in Kainji Dam at Mina, where we have our hydropower plants, normally we have been generating the primary voltage that is being generated in Kainji Dam at Mina is 33 kV. Okay. And then this voltage is being stepped up to over 330 kV. Then they step down from 330 to 132 kV. Then they step down again to back to 33 kV. And then they step down from 33 kV to 11 kV. And they step down from 11 kV down to 415. Now, as most of the time, we do have this water shortage, that is during the Harmattan period. So you find that during the Harmattan period, water, due to the evaporation of water molecules in the atmosphere, we have this short water, what in the water table becomes lower. So that force that tends to pulls the turbine, from the dam, will be reduced, whereby leading to insufficient power. Because as there's not enough water to run the turbine, you find that the turbine cannot generate its maximum power. So it will tend to give less than what is being expected, for the power to be boosted up. So whatsoever the country needs. But and taking a look at other areas like Chiroro Dam in Sapele, that's located in Delta States, they also use water to generate electricity. That's hydro, and most of the time they see experience this water shortage during the Harmattan period. That's why in some states they have load shedding. Some areas have have lights, while some areas don't have light in a particular period of time. Maybe they might just say by 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening, this in state we have lights. Then by 6 in the evening to 6 the next day morning, this other place we have light. That's load shedding due to low water coming from the dam. So, but now looking at the area where I want to talk about, where we can solve, where I can solve the issue of this power outage, whether hydro or not, because now I'm looking at other areas like lightning. Yeah, lightning. So
I would want
will
to move that first.
Yeah.
We're trying to take it systematically.
Yeah.
All right. Now, are there other sources of power? Let's start from there first.
Yeah. In Nigeria, we have various sources of power. We have fossil fuel, we have hydroelectricity, and the current one now, solar power.
Is that all used in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming back to our power supply here in Nigeria, how would you rate the authority that is actually in charge of distributing power?
Well, as for me, I'll rate the authority that are distributing the power 40%, 40 over 100, because we don't usually see the lights. That's according to people's complaint from people.
What of yours? You normally have lights.
Even in my area.
Because I'm sure right now people are experiencing serious power outage, and I want to bring it back to this current administration. Sorry, I don't know. Just a little mix of politics there before we return back to what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Now, one of the primary duties of a government is to ensure that people have light, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now, look at the Minister of Power, Housing, and that we're talking
Works.
about works, Minister of Power, Works and Housing. Now, how do you think he would become efficient with the juxtaposition of three powerful portfolios in one?
Well, when I was on my way to this place, I was telling a friend of mine that normally giving someone three portfolio is not really easy to handle them. One, the power issue in Nigeria is so hectic, is so grievous, is so big that only one person cannot even handle it. Right from the time of President Obasanjo down to President Yaradua, before Jonathan, they have been trying to fix this power issue, which from the time of the former minister, the ex-minister of power, that's Chinedu Nebo, Guy Batunaji, before Chinedu Nebo, and currently now on Babatunde Fashola. Now, one person cannot handle all this put together, because the time you used to solve works, housing, and then that's it, and you want to create time again to solve power, which one person cannot handle. I don't think it is really possible to handle these three things at a time.
Now, is it all about the portfolios or all about the personality handling it?
Well, it's not all about the portfolio, because normally looking at the portfolio is what carrying those three portfolio. But can it handle the issue of power? Let's put works and housing aside, because power has been, from the onset, we'll be having this problem, this issue on ground. Now that he has been on power, can he handle this? Because one person cannot solve power outage, as in the issue of power challenge in Nigeria, one person cannot solve it. Even the Gen schools, those that the generating company of Nigeria, they are working as a group. The discos also, that those that are distributing the power, they're also working as a group. So I think, my own opinion, I think the Minister of Power, needs to, get people like me, that have solutions to our power problem, and maybe some other brains we have in Nigeria. Put these people together, let them solve this power issue, than just one person pursuing it alone. I think you will find it difficult.
The truth is that most times, I think the viewers can share the same thought with me or as mine. Most times people get confused on the regulatory body in charge of power right now, because I know we've been changing. All right, so which body specifically is in charge of power right now?
Well,
because I know we are all used to NEPA.
Yeah,
and there have been changes that have gone through. Yeah. So who exactly, or which authority or which body is in charge of power right now?
Currently, PACN, PACN is being handled by FG, by the Minister of Power, which is Honorable Retired Babatunde Fashola. And taking a look at the PACN, the Power Holdings Company of Nigeria, they also have TCN, who handles the transmission. That's Transmission Company of Nigeria. These are people that transmits power. When after being generated by Gen schools, TCN transmits, then distribution companies, distributes power. Now, looking at the changes on ground, changing from NEPA to PACN does not change anything. The most important thing is, are we handling the issue of solving the power problem on ground? That's the most important thing there. So I think the Nigerian Regulatory Power Commission and the NIPP should look into this, because I think that the issue of power, changing from one name to another, doesn't really count. What really counts is getting the right people that can solve the power challenge.
All right, now straight on. Is there anything you think the people that have been handling this power from inception, are there things you actually think they're not getting right? Are there areas you think they're gray areas that they've not touched?
Yeah, to me, my own opinion is they should look at other areas of power generation.
What are those areas?
Good.
That's our interest.
Now, we can still go into our fossil fuel, that's gas plants.
Okay.
We can still go into, solar is not so reliable.
Sorry, you said gas plant?
Yeah.
How do we generate power from gas plant?
From gas, it goes into a turbine, a gas turbine.
Okay.
As this turbine, is being propelled, it generates power, which can be stepped up to 330 kV, and then, be stepped down to whatsoever the country needs from there. Because normally our primary power we generate is 33 kV, and then they step it up to 330 kV, and then they step down, like I said initially, to 132 kV. Then they step down from 132 back to 33 kV, and then they step down to 11 kV, and then they step down to finally 415 volts. So they should look at other areas like lightning. Most people find it, they don't really believe that lightning can solve Nigerian power issue, because
we want to know.
They are trying to say, lightning that comes and go, how can it be harnessed? How can it be converted? How can it be transmitted? It's not really possible. But I'm here to say now, lightning is 100% possible.
How?
Even though...
Can you give us a
breakdown of it?
Yeah, breakdown of it, because I know people are watching, and of course they will want to learn.
The thunder lightning energy converter, which is my own theory that I'm bringing out now with a non-working prototype due to lack of a sufficient fund to build a working prototype. It comprises of 5 zones. The trapping zone. These are areas that are made of lightning arrestor with resistance filter. Yeah, because lightning comes within the power of lightning is between an average of 20 billion watts. Between an average of 20 billion watts. Why the voltage, the voltage that lightning generates is 330 million volts. In Nigeria, we are generating 330,000 volts. So which is not even up to 1 million volts. we are generating in this country. And if lightning comes with 330 megavolts, we can trap as low as 5 megavolts from the 330 megavolts that comes from lightning. Now, through lightning arrestor with resistance filter. Now, I would have loved to go, I would have loved to break down inside the lightning arrestor what really happened when the lightning strikes it. Now, thunder doesn't generate power, but lightning comes with power. Why? I can hold a piece of metal during thunderstorm. I will not be electrocuted, but I can't hold a piece of a metal rod during lightning. I will be electrocuted instanter. If possible, it can lead to death.
All right, we'll be going for a short break now. When we come back, we continue with this. But before we go, I know that it's very striking for you to walk into NEPA office in quotes and discover that they are using small generator called I Pass My Neighbor. How do we solve all that? How do we go into other sources of power in Nigeria? That we'll be continuing looking into when we come back from the break. Please stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nctv. They are like Agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
All right, welcome back from that short break, and of course, continuing with the discussion, we are actually looking at alternative to the epileptic power supply we have in Nigeria, and he's been trying to tell us that there are certain things we can do on our own too, and he has this theory, and of course, there are some areas that he have actually brought up, solutions to these things. We will go into them later. Now we are still continuing with alternative to power supply. Okay. And I wanted to ask, sorry, I have some things here. I have solar energy, I have wind energy, I have geothermal energy, I have hydrogen energy, I have tidal energy, I have wave energy, I have hydroelectric energy, and I have biomass energy. Okay. Now, amongst these alternative sources of energy or power, which ones are most practical to use?
Well, we can look at one, hydroelectricity. Then two, we can look at wind. Though we don't usually have wind in Nigeria, like this tornado wind that can propel the windmill, to generate power. We don't really have enough wind, so let's take wind out of it. Hydro is there. Then thermal energy, geothermal energy is okay. Then solar is okay. Then this gas, fossil fuel.
Okay.
Generating electricity through gas is okay.
Now, how efficient is solar energy?
Well,
how efficient? Because I know you walk into some shops and you discover that there's no light, but you're seeing some bulbs on there. And by the time you ask, they will tell you where is solar. Yeah. How does this work?
Well, how solar works is that you have your solar panel, up there, positioned through your southwest direction. Then you have your batteries, your heaps of battery, depending on the voltage of the inverter you want to solar energy you want to build. For instance, if you are building a 24 volts solar energy, we need to get some like 4 solar panels of 260 watts each, connecting down to our battery, 2 inverter batteries of 200 ampere hour by 12 volts in series. That will give us 24 volts. Then connecting down to an inverter, and then the inverter, what it does is to step up this 24 volts AC, because when the DC from the battery enters the inverter circuits, IC usually SG3525 or 3524, PWM IC. It converts this DC current into an AC current, into an oscillatory current, and then it goes to your MOSFET transistors, your driver stage, which alternates the power, the current that comes from the IC, and then it goes to your step-up transformer, which step up this voltage from 24 volts AC. It was formerly on 24 volts DC. Through the IC and the circuit, it was converted to 24 volts AC, and then through the oscillatory, the driver stage, which is made of the MOSFET transistor, it switches the power now from when one is on, the other one goes off, just like alternating current on and off. And then after, it goes to a step-up transformer, which step up the voltage from 24 volts AC to 250 volts AC, which can power a house.
Okay.
So this is how solar works. So our sun, and we don't usually have sun, like as normal. We don't usually have sun. Like the time that Nigerians do have sun, is from 8 in the morning. Let's just say from 9 morning sun in the morning till 4 p.m. or between 4 to 5 p.m. in the evening. But you have to run the energy stored in the battery at night through the inverter throughout the night against the next day morning till solar comes up. But there are some loads that are restricted if you have some certain power of inverter. Take for instance, you have 5 kVA inverter. They may tell you run 1 AC of 1 horsepower or 1.5 horsepower AC. Then run your freezer, maybe like 1 deep freezer, then your light and electronics. But if, assuming you have up to 3 to 4 ACs in the house, you have up to 3 to 4 freezers or standing fridge in the house, you find out that your inverter cannot power those things. Or you have pressing iron and other, resistive load. You find out that your inverter cannot power those things. So it's all based on the capacity of inverter, of solar, that they are using out there.
Okay, let me ask this question. When it has to do with power conservation, looking at the prepared meter, between the prepared meter and the regular reading meter we have, which we call the direct connection, of course. Now, which one conserves power the most?
Well, the prepared meter is more and better than the direct connection, because when you are using a direct connection in a house, what you'll be getting is estimated bill. NEPA will be giving you, as PACN, so to say, will be giving the customer estimated bill, because there is no prepaid meter. So any reading they just come, they take, before they will just bring high bill, like what we are passing through in Enugu. But for those that have prepaid meter, like one of my neighbor in Enugu State, where I graduated from Institute of Management and Technology, IMT Enugu. One of my neighbor that uses prepaid meter with 2,000 naira card, he uses it for up to a month. And
it does not depend on how heavy his gadgets are.
I'm telling you, he has fridge, iron, electric kettle, and so on. But 2,000 manage him up to a month. But we sometimes each room per room we pay up to 2,000 naira per room. Sometimes we pay up to 2,500 naira when the estimated bill comes. So we share it by 4 and we pay this huge money.
Now, why is it difficult for people to have access to these prepaid meters?
Well, I think
because I know so many people have tried getting. By the time they get to those people's office, they keep hearing story. And by the time we are hearing this advert from radio or straight out information from Prime Minister of Power, all that, what they tell us is it's free and it's everywhere. Why does it become scarce when it has to do with going to get it from the local source or from local NEPA offices?
Thank you. Normally, it is the right of every citizens to have prepaid meter, and normally prepaid meter is supposed to be a material meant for the meant for PACN. You know, so we are not supposed to pay for prepaid meter. Ours is just to buy card, load on the meter, and be using lights. You understand? So people going looking for prepaid meter, and I will tell them no, there's no prepaid meter. And even within that same place where the offices that are meant to distribute the prepaid meter, that say that there's no prepaid meter, if you find that very well, you find that there are enough prepaid meter stored on ground. Maybe they are looking for unknown man, a written note, give him a prepaid meter. Maybe that's what they are looking for. But my own advice or my own opinion, prepaid meter are meant to be distributed to consumers for free.
Are you alleging corruption in the power sector?
Well, I'm not pointing at corruption, because I'm not against anybody, But one thing I know is, in Nigeria, I believe that what most citizens, do, both those that are working in the power sector, is who know man before you give someone prepaid meter.
That is called corruption.
You understand?
In the normal Nigerian palace.
Yeah. So let me not. Though they know the name to call it. Some might call it is corruption. Some might call it is an unknown man. But
what is the interpretation of man no man or who no man on the normal African setting?
It boils down to corruption.
So
you understand? But one thing that I really want to say is that if there are, I know of a friend who produces prepaid meter. He was awarded by former past government, as in President Goodluck Jonathan. This guy, he was given about some huge amount of money in Uwin. That was 2011. They gave him more than 10 million naira to go into production of that prepaid meter. He based in Lagos. Because I'm a Uwin awardee too.
Really?
Yeah, 2011.
So what have you done with your money? Very interesting. Very interesting. I think we can pick on that.
Thank you.
You won certain sum of money?
Although I couldn't win the money because we were over 110,000 youths that actually applied.
You said you win awardee, right?
I was shortlisted in the first stage.
Okay, you didn't win the
but
money.
In the final stage, I wasn't shortlisted because I didn't submit my business proposal on time.
Okay, so the fault was from you.
So the fault came from me.
Okay.
But when I said I'm a UN awardee, we were 1,200 that were shortlisted in the 6 geopolitical zones among the 110,000 youths that applied in the 6 geopolitical zones.
So you were once a UN participant?
Participants, yeah. And I was given a certificate for that. Yeah, so what I want to say, this guy was empowered. Although what I really applied for was solving the nation's, as a Nigerian electricity power through lightning.
Don't worry. I think that is the practical thing you came to tell us, right?
Yeah.
We'll get back to that.
Okay.
All right. So right now, if you're a viewer, you're watching, probably you have issues with power. Of course, every Nigerian have issues with power, except those that wouldn't want to speak up or would just want to allow it go on the person. We'll go for a short break now. Wanted to sit close to your chair, and of course, stay glued to your television. He has some practical things to show us this morning on alternative power supply or power generation. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nakama. They are like Agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political. Dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nctv. They are like Agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When the Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays.
Hello, welcome back from that short break, and of course down to the practical now. I don't know what is this all about you're holding, and of course because I know the people would want to know.
Okay, hello viewers. Here is the non-working prototype of the Thunder Lightning Energy Converter.
Wait, non-working prototype. What does that mean?
Now, it's a systematic plan that explains how the Lightning Energy Converter will be built in Nigeria and wherever they experience lightning in other African countries. The same machine, power plants built here in Nigeria can also be built in other African countries that experiences lightning. Now, in this systematic plan,
okay,
it has 4 zones here. Now, it has 4 zones here. Okay. One of the zones, the first zone is the trapping zone, which is this over here. Now, this is representing our skyscraper mask, yeah, of about maybe 100 meter high from the 8th level. Then here is our lightning arrestor. This will represent our lightning arrestor. That's lightning bolts you see on top of mask. Yeah, so this is our lightning bolts. Now, this lightning bolt now, it has 2 chambers. The first chamber, it traps the lightning energy that comes from the lightning.
Hold on, are you saying this has something to do with the mast or something?
Now, the mast is just to project the lightning arrestor up, close to the sky level.
Okay.
Now, normally a human being can hold something like an umbrella to represent mask, but it's not ideal. Okay, well, so there must be a mask.
What you're talking about is the real mask we know.
Yes,
like the MTN mask.
Yes, yeah.
Glow mask and all that. Okay.
Yeah. Now,
so you have to hold this very close to the mast or something. No, can it work from you being in house here?
Normally, this lightning arrestor will be fixed on top of a mask.
Okay. Okay.
So the mask should be carrying the lightning arrestor, to the atmosphere.
Okay.
Then, inside the lightning arrestor, there are separation that is being done within splits of seconds.
Okay.
That's when the natural one is built now. Now, when the lightning comes, 330 megavolts, that's the maximum power that comes with the maximum voltage that comes with lightning. Now, inside the mask, it separates 5 megavolts from the 330 megavolts that is being trapped, by this lightning arrestor. Then, from there, the excessive power, which is 325 megavolts, will be grounded to the ground in form of earthing. Okay. We don't need those power.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, the other one, which is 5 megavolts, we trap that was filtered from the 330 megavolts, will be transmitted down to the harnessing zone, which will be made of supercapacitors or ultra capacitors. Recently, there's a scientist called Stephen Alpha that produced a generator from supercapacitors. no battery. It's a free energy generator. It generates light 24 hours.
So how did he do that? No battery?
No battery.
No supply of anything?
No, just he charged the capacitors. Then after it's been charged, then it will now switch on. You use an external power to charge the capacitor. I will talk about that because I want to go into production of that in Nigerian free energy generator that doesn't use petrol, diesel, kerosene, gas, or water, and it's not solar.
I would actually advise you round off with this quickly, so you can talk about that because we have roughly 9-10 minutes to go.
Okay. Now, from this harnessing zone here, each harnessing zone is built to retain power for 8,928 hours for one harnessing zone to store the energy that comes from the lightning arrestor. Remember, it's lightning energy. Now, inside here, we have 5 megavolts being trapped because from the lightning arrestor, 5 megavolts is being distributed to all this harnessing zone, and we have 5 harnessing zone here in this prototype, non-working prototype. Now, each of these, now we distribute 1 megavolts, and then it will retain 4 megavolts left in the harnessing zone, so that all the power energy will not be distributed at the same time.
Okay.
Now, from here, it goes to our conversion zone, which convert that 1 megavolts to 330 kV. That's what we are generating in Nigeria. But in other African countries, we now know how many we are stepping down from 1 megavolts to feed other countries like Libya, Kenya, and so on. Then from this conversion zone, it converts the 1 megavolt static energy into electrical energy. From here, it's being distributed to the transmission zone. In this transmission zone here, it carries the 1 mega, that's the 330 kV that was being distributed from the conversion zone here to the high tension step down transformer. Here we can step down from 330 kV to 132, then from 132 to back to 33. From 33 we step down to 11 kV, and then from 11 kV we step down to 415, and from 415 we distribute to house. But since we are talking about federal, as in PACN, when we get the 33 kV here, we just distribute it straight to our grid, our power grid. From there, the whole Nigeria will have lights.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure for those that understood what the illustrations and demonstrations that you have made, for those that didn't, you can follow us up on our social media handles, of course, to catch him up on that. You talked about having, is it generator?
Free energy generator.
Free energy generator.
Yeah.
It doesn't use fuel.
Yeah.
It doesn't use diesel.
Yeah.
It doesn't use gas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I know we have generators that start using gas, but they're not very, I don't know whether they've gotten into Nigeria. But I know it's been practiced somewhere.
In the Western world.
In the Western world.
Yeah.
And the question is, why have we not started using that? That's number one question for you. And then secondly, the generator you're talking about that
free
uses,
energy generator.
yes, how does it work?
Thank you. Now, free energy generator is already in existence. It was invented by in India. Sorry, so to say, it was invented in India. Now, the free energy generator, let me break it down. It works with an ordinary alternator, that's the cassava plant alternator. Then it also have a flywheel. That's in Nigeria we have what is called cassava plants. There are these 2 big rods, this circular metal that propels when these cassava plants. We know it, in Nigeria it's called Nigerian cassava plants right here in Nigeria, but I don't know what they call it.
Mechanically you can turn it.
Yeah, you can turn it mechanically with rod. That's the one that is being used in Nigeria.
Okay.
But this free energy generator, it is one of those flywheel found in that cassava plants. It uses normal alternator from 8 kilowatts to 60 kilowatts. That means you can put up to 60 kV without using petrol, diesel, or fuel or gas. Now, from there, we also have electric motor of 4 horsepower. Now, let me tell you how it works. From the electric motor is connected to the flywheel. From the flywheel is connected to the alternator. Let us say 24 kilowatts. Now from there you power the electric motor with an external power. Remember, it's 4 horsepower, 4 pull. Now when you drive it, maybe single phase or 3 phase, when you drive the motor, it runs the flywheel. At a constant velocity, it drives the alternator, which is 1,500 RPM, that's revolution per minute. Now, as it drives the alternator tends to produce 220 volts or 250 volts. Then the power is about 24 kV that generate, which can power AC, fridges, electric cooker.
Okay, now shortly.
Then they switch over from that external power that incites the electric motor down to the alternator that is in the free energy generator. Now, when they change over, is now the alternator in the free energy generator now that will now be giving power back to the electric motor when they cut off the external power.
All right. Your explanations are quite good, but I'm sure some people might not really understand the terminologies you're using. Now, for this free energy generator you're talking about, can it be automated, considering the fact that the world is actually moving away from the mechanical point of things, of seeing ideas, or all that? Yeah. Is it possible that this mechanism becomes automatic?
Yeah. Right here in Nigeria, we can locally source for the materials, but let's bring politics into it.
I don't know if
no, it's not in Nigeria, but the materials are locally sourced. I can locally source materials. Yes, right here in Nigeria.
But nobody has started using it.
And build it.
Which means you're bringing it down to Nigeria.
Yeah, I can build it here in Nigeria.
Okay. So what are the things you need to swing into action?
I just need financial support.
From
either private individual or from Ministry of Science and Technology, if they can, go into such generator. It doesn't use petrol.
All right, fine. Yeah. Has it been tested by you anywhere in Nigeria? Yeah. We're not talking about having it so many for you to service people, because before you wake up and say there is an invention, you're bringing in something very new, a novel idea. Now, there's supposed to be the practical part of it. Have you been able to, make it practical, make it work somewhere?
Okay. Currently, I have not produced a prototype here in Nigeria because of fund.
But you have done this. You're the one that did
this. This is a non-working prototype.
Which means
it doesn't give power.
I know. Yeah. I understand the non-working, right? Yeah. Now, I'm saying with this prototype, when you have the necessary materials, you can bring it to
into a working prototype. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
And I believe that I can build it. Why I said I can build it? I've been on designs for the past 27 years.
Okay.
Now, and there are a lot of things I've invented as an inventor. There's this wall clock that provides light for 12 hours. It charges through solar, provide light for 12 hours, can charge MP3 devices, can charge power banks, can charge phones. A wall clock. And with it, Germany, that's DW Germany, Dutch Relative Germany, rated me number 4 in the whole Africa among top 5 star energy inventors from Africa.
That's nice.
This was last year, December 17th, 18th, 2017, last year.
Okay.
So, being an inventor, I've done a lot of things that are being talked in the whole world now. If they Google Scientist Emmanuel Obayagbona, they will see all these things over there. Or maybe they search on YouTube, Emmanuel Obayagbona. They'll see all these things over there on the internet. So I can build it. And I can do it. It will work. We will not be using fuel to power our generator.
All right, that's the confidence we actually need from every young Nigerian. Now, don't sit at home and think there is no hope for you. Don't sit at home and think, because I didn't go to school, you'll not be able to achieve anything. He actually went to school anyways. But we are saying these are practical things that we can learn, right?
Yeah.
These are things we can learn. So, like you can go on Google it up, see how to follow me up to make this work. But taking us back to our topic, we're looking at the power challenge and the solution. So we brought him here to give us solutions to alternative to the normal power supply we have. So we are employing the federal government and of course employing him to get close to the federal government and of course the Minister of Power to ensure that all these ideas and your inventions, becomes real or comes into fruition, so that we begin to have alternatives, to the power failure. Like we said, if your country becomes epileptic in power supply, it means you will not have investors come in.
Exactly.
And of course, we know, as we wrap up, that many businesses have failed and are still suffering because of investors are not coming in due to epileptic power supply.
supply, yeah.
So if we begin to go into alternative means or measures to power supply, it will actually help our country to move forward. Let's remember, it's still national discourse, where we discuss about issues that affect us as a nation, as Nigerians. Today, we actually dealt with power, and we have him come all the way from Delta State to discuss this with us. Thank you very much, sir, for coming to the studio.
Thank you very much.
I know that the practical example you've showed us here, it does not suffice, anybody to go into practice with it.
Yeah.
So we'll get in touch with you when people start calling or giving us feedback on this.
Okay.
All right. And this is where we hang on and off on National Discourse this beautiful morning. I still remain your host, Uche Uduma, signing off.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nakama. They are like Agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them,